What's up, Tesla fans? I'm here in Denver, Colorado today, driving through the Rocky Mountains. I'm planning to go to South Colorado, and I'm missing my Model 3. Guess what I'm driving? I'm driving Nissan Altima. The reason being that it has good mileage, and I think on a full tank of gas it can drive about 550 miles. That's what the meter reading was showing me yesterday. But I wanted this video to not only talk about Tesla and how I miss my Tesla when I'm not driving it, and how I would like to drive it in different types of terrain. As you guys know, I live in Florida and I drive through Florida most of the time. I've also driven to Georgia with my Tesla. No issues driving long distance. But I haven't driven it in the mountains. I would like to drive it in the mountains. That's something that I would like to do. But the problem being that mountains are pretty far off from Florida. I mean, Florida is flat land, swampland. You can enjoy the beaches in Florida, but not really the mountains. And if you ask me what I prefer, I actually prefer mountains. But that's besides the point. The goal of this video is to talk about how a good car like a Nissan Altima differs from Tesla. What are the pros and cons of each of those cars, and for all you guys out there who are still waiting for the Model 3, why you should continue waiting on, and why I think it makes sense to swap your car out even if you have a Nissan or a Honda or a Toyota. Actually, in the last earnings call, Tesla's Q2 earnings call, Elon informed the press that most of the cars that people were replacing most of the cars that were being replaced with Model 3 or the trade-ins were Honda Accords. That was surprising. I mean, I had a Honda Accord and actually sold mine, or maybe it wasn't Honda Accord. I think it was Honda Civic, but that doesn't really matter. It was still a Honda. And as many of you know out there, that Hondas are pretty good, and they run forever, and they have pretty good gas mileage, and they are very low maintenance as compared to other gasoline cars. So if people are trading in their Hondas for a Model 3, and the price difference is not small. Like, you can get a Honda Civic for, I guess, $25,000, while a Model 3, the base version that is not out yet, will cost you $35,000. So that's still about 40% increase in price. So if people are willing to pay that premium for a Model 3, then that is definitely something to think about. And I'm also a Tesla investor, so I think about that. I think about what Model 3 demand exists out there, demand that Wall Street analysts are not very good at predicting. So I think that people trading in their Hondas, their Civics, their Accords or Toyota Camrys or Nissan Altimas is a great sign for the Model 3. It's a great sign that a lot of people out there who were in this middle market range of cars, whose choice of cars was to have a good, reliable, low maintenance gasoline car that can drive long distance. If those people are choosing Tesla Model 3, that is an indication for me that Tesla is not only going after the luxury, the mid-sized luxury sedan segment, but it's actually going after, or maybe it's not trying to go after, but it's actually attracting a lot of customers from a lower segment, from a mass market, highly efficient, and low maintenance car segment, which is in the range of $20,000 to $30,000, and I think that's a huge segment. If I have my numbers right, I think last year Honda sold about 4 million cars, and I don't know the breakup of that 4 million. If it was, what was the breakup between Civic and Accord and the SUV and the minivan, and those are, I guess, the biggest in terms of market share, the biggest products that Honda sells all over the world. But if Tesla is able to get part of that share, that is a big deal, guys. And I think that these Wall Street analysts are not taking that into account. And I don't think that they're dumb or they don't see the picture, but I do believe that there is, some sense. I do believe that there's something out there. I don't know why, but the motivations are not right. I think there's something. It's not very clear to me yet. I mean, I haven't really dug into it, but the kind of attacks that I see, people throwing towards Tesla on a day in and day out basis, most of those attacks don't really make much sense. The numbers don't make sense. The numbers that they throw out there don't make sense. And and a lot of Tesla bulls keep talking about how the goalposts that the Tesla shorts throughout there keep moving, and actually that is true. I mean, when Tesla was, imagine Tesla 10 years ago, they would say that electric cars don't work. Electric cars are not appealing. No one wants to buy them, so Tesla would fail. That was a thesis, and then that changed to, well, these cars are very expensive, and no one will buy such expensive cars because Model S and Model X are in the range of $70,000 to $80,000, $100,000 for a really good car. So that was the thesis back then, and then it moved from, well, Tesla cannot mass manufacture, Tesla cannot really make enough of their cars, and then it changed to, well, Tesla will be is far behind its competition. There are these incumbent manufacturers out there that will beat Tesla because they have all the supply chain and they have the expertise and they know the market. And then that changed, and then became about profitability, and then it keeps changing all the time. I mean, the thesis that why Tesla or electric cars, I mean, it started with electric cars and then became all about Tesla, why electric cars or quote unquote Tesla will fail, that thesis keep changing, and I don't know if it ends anywhere. And I think a lot of Tesla bulls agree with me, and then that's why we're sticking to our guns as far as the shares, as far as stock is concerned, and we're not gonna sell. So I think, and I'm not being emotional about this. I'm not biased. Well, maybe I'm a little biased because I own the car and I really like the car, and I want Tesla to succeed. But my bias aside, I think if you think about why Tesla makes sense, if you think about the basics, what I believe is that technology is one thing that we have as humans that cannot be stopped, that will not be stopped, that no matter what people say, will break all the bounds of what is possible. So when you are fighting technology improvements with something that's age old and actually commoditized like gasoline, sooner than later you are going to lose. So if you think about that for a second, and you think about what kind of impact improvements in technology have on our day-to-day lives, you'll realize that this same kind of thought process can be applied to a lot of different industries that went through huge technology improvements in a very short period of time. And as far as energy consumption is concerned, we all know that we are never going back to using actually anything else but electricity as much as possible to meet our energy needs. That's not I mean, no one's going to burn anything to get good use of the energy. So electricity is the most pervasive form of energy that finds its uses in almost everything that we use on a day in day out basis. So things that don't use electricity for energy are gonna be disrupted by technology, or by changes in technology, revolution in technology that would enable electricity usage and make it more pervasive in our day-to-day life. So if you think about that big picture of how electricity is going to take over everything, then you start believing that electric vehicles, there's just no stopping electric vehicles, right? So then the question becomes, is it battery based electric vehicles, is it fuel cell based, is it hydrogen based? Because to some extent all three use electricity. Now if you try to answer the question which one would it be, my bet would be on battery based, because the other two technologies are nowhere even close. I mean, even fuel cells, most of them are powered by hydrogen. So for argument's sake, we can assume that hydrogen fuel cells are the same technology, but they're not. I mean, fuel cells, you can power them, without hydrogen. You can power them with other sources. But I think hydrogen is the biggest or is the more popular technology out there that you can use to power your fuel cell. So fuel cells are not even close, and I haven't done my own analysis on this to figure the end-to-end energy consumption when you go from hydrogen to mechanical energy and actually your linear motion. If a hydrogen-based technology is more efficient, or a battery-based technology is more efficient. But one thing is for sure, that for the longest time, what's been holding electricity usage back in fields where it's not used as much as it should be, for example, transport, personal transport or commercial transport, was that electricity cannot be reliably and economically stored. I think that was the big problem. Now, energy storage solves that problem. Energy storage is the holy grail of electricity usage that's going to append the energy usage all over the world. And the advancements in energy storage, the more recent advancements, if you follow battery-based energy storage technology, you'll find that battery costs are dropping. Like it's almost an exponential drop that's happening, and that's what's making battery-based energy storage so much more efficient and so much more economical on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I work in solar plus energy storage industry, so I'm deploying this technology for energy generation all over the United States and Canada. I mean, I'm in it on a day in and day out basis, so I know how much it costs to put together a solar plus energy storage project. So I know the battery costs and how they're declining and at what rate they're declining. Just think about the battery costs. I guess about 8 or 9 years ago were in the range of $1,000 per kilowatt hour. These days, I mean, we are seeing battery costs in the range of $200 per kilowatt hour. So I think Tesla is experiencing steep declines in battery costs because they have a vertically integrated business where apart from the cell, they're manufacturing the modules, they're putting together the whole battery pack, and they're partnering with the strategic partnership with Panasonic is a very symbiotic one. It helps Panasonic and it helps Tesla, and it makes sure that the technology that they're using and they are working on can be used across multiple vehicles. It's very modular. And that's why Tesla uses cylindrical cells versus boxy cells like BMW or GM or the other guys use, and they're buying those cells from and the battery packs, actually not just the cells, the battery packs from LG Chem and Samsung, while Tesla is not, and they have total control over the improvements in that technology. They have total control over the production, the supply chain, and there's just no stopping. So anyways, again, I think there's so much to talk about these things, and probably I should start doing like individual I should parse this out a little bit more and start doing individual videos on advancements in battery technology, Tesla versus battery manufacturers, Tesla versus energy storage integrators, Tesla versus car manufacturers. So Tesla is charting its way in so many different industries, and it's actually appending so many different industries that you won't believe what's the market potential out there. And that's when people say that Tesla stock can go up to $4,000 a stock. It's kind of sounds like aggressive, but I think there's so many industries that Tesla can actually participate in and be a big player in a very short period of time, that after a period of you'll start believing that thesis if you believe the fact that just because they have a pretty good grip on their battery technology, they can play in the auto industry, they can play in the energy storage industry. They can play in so stationary storage and auto, and not just that. I mean, if you think about the advancements in autonomy and autonomous vehicles. I mean, I agree that probably Tesla's technology is not as advanced as Waymo's, or not as advanced as what else? I think there's one more that I'm kind of not remembering the name of, but Tesla's technology is out there. People are using it on a daily basis. I don't see how many people are using Waymo's. So that's a huge impediment to data collection. If Tesla has their cars out there that are collecting data on day in day out basis, that's a huge advantage to have. So anyways, I think I'm covering so many topics. I mean, I think I've completely veered away from my original topic of this video, which was to talk about the differences between a Model 3 and Nissan. I think anyways, I think we will talk about it again. I get so excited about Tesla when I talk about Tesla in the business that I don't stay on point. I'll to summarize, the differences. The biggest one being that it's just clunky. Nissan and I think actually Nissan is relatively better than Ford Fusion or some of the other cars, the GM and Ford cars that I've driven around. Their button placement through the panel board, through the dashboard of the car, is much more organized and much more logical, I guess, or maybe intuitive. But yeah, it's just so different driving in either car after 3 months of driving a Model 3. I mean, you just miss your car so much. You just want it. You just want it everywhere. So with that, it's already 17 minutes into this video. I didn't want it to be that long. My attention span, if I'm watching videos, is not that long, and I know that you guys out there, your attention spans are not that long too. So until next time, take care, guys. Drive safe.